Maven Nation. Welcome to another episode of Success with Saneness. This is your bi-weekly dose of solution-inspired stories to help you maintain your well-being. I'm your host, Maven Miara. So today I have a very, very special guest. I say that about everybody because they're special to me. Y'all, let me be great, okay? She's not only an amazing therapist, counselor, but I definitely consider her a true friend. So one of the great things I love about Dr. Neely is she creates counseling and therapy in a way that it feels like you're just talking to your girlfriend and y'all just working through it. Now, you know, I don't know a whole lot of therapists, but I don't know that everyone has that type of ability to just get you to be comfortable and let's just work through it. So Dr. Neely has been working in this space for over 25 years, which just means she started at 2. Y'all don't count our age. Let us be great. Okay. And she is the chief executive officer of Neely Behavioral Health, and the company provides counseling services, wellness training, and employee assistance programs, which I am absolutely honored that I get to be a part of that. And they offer these services throughout the United States. She is supported by her wonderful husband and 2 amazing daughters. So listen, Maven Nation, welcome again, Dr. Curly Neely. I know Maven Nation is familiar with you because we love you being a part of our community. So welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here and have this conversation with you today. Anytime I can join Maven Nation, I'm having a good day.
I love that. I love that. Tell us a little bit more about your background and what caused you to want to be in the mental health space and offer that type of help into the world.
Absolutely. So, you know, if I'm very honest with you, I was always a really curious child, right? I was one of those kids that mom and dad in the kitchen, you know, having a little disagreement, and I'm in my head already coming up with, no, you wrong for that, or whatever, or mom, why are you saying that? So I think I was always very curious about people, why they did what they did, what made them tick. And then, you know, I think even going deeper, I grew up in a home where I knew I was loved, I was taken care of, all those things. But many of the things that were said to me, many of the things that occurred, you know, affected me. And I'm from Trinidad and Tobago originally. So mental health doesn't exist. Okay. You suck it up, buttercup. You know, put yourself together and march on. And so I was that person who I felt emotion big, but there was not space for me to process that emotion. So I think I was always attracted to this idea that if we create space for people to process, then life opens up. And so I went on to get a doctorate and all the other things education wise, but my heart and my love is getting to be with people and help to change their lives.
Wow. I love that. Now, do you, just in your work of 25 years, do you think that immigrants that are here in America versus Black Americans that were born here, do you see some big differences in how we approach mental health?
You know, I see some differences, but I also see some things that are the same, because at the end of the day, we just got dropped off first, right? We got dropped off.
Facts.
I think the mentality of you suck it up, you're tough, you're strong, all those things like that. There's no space for crying. I think that's kind of the same. I would almost think that as an immigrant, it may have been a little tougher because coming to a new country, you know, no one, you don't have a support system, you're trying to work, you're trying to whatever. You got no time for BS, okay?
Yeah, this is true.
Drop the BS for real.
Right.
So there was even less space. I remember some of my American friends, Black American friends, I felt like their parents were just a little bit more open. I'm not a lot, but just a little bit more.
Right. A little bit more wiggle room.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I think that, you know, that's one of those things in the Black community. I think we're just, you know, last 10 years or less becoming more open to therapy and it not being so shameful. I think we still have a long ways to go in that category, but I think we're at least taking steps. And I think the pandemic was one of the things that sped us up a little bit. like, sis, you're going to fall all the way apart if you don't get some therapy. And I know for your business, therapy has changed dramatically, where it used to be predominantly in person, and now it's probably predominantly virtual, which, I guess that probably has its pluses and minuses. Just curious, what's your feeling on that as a therapist?
Sure. Well, I like to say therapy it's hot. It's in style, right? Because before, it was, like you said, it was this kind of taboo thing. But with the pandemic, I think people started to really settle in to think about themselves a little bit more. The virtual world opened up. So, before, people always came in. I would say 98% of people came in. We were doing virtuals, believe it or not. It existed. Now, our business is probably, I would say, 60% virtual. So it is flipped, because, or what we call hybrid, where I may come in if I feel like it, but if I have a day that I'm, somewhere else, I can't make it, I'm gonna pop on my little Zoom camera and meet with my therapist. I want to go back to something you said, though, Miara. I think when you touched on this idea that it has specifically opened up for African Americans, I think that is just, so wonderful, because just like everybody, I don't care who you are, we all got stuff. And so it's nice to see us showing up for ourselves in a different way.
Yeah, I love that. And, I think one of the other big helpers for the community is that we see successful people with thriving careers, with all the letters behind the name, also saying, I have a therapist, or I need my therapist, and somehow that gives it more power. I think that opens the door a little bit more to say, this is okay. There's a meme that I see sometimes floating around that says, I love Jesus and therapy. They go together. They go together.
I haven't seen that, but let me tell you. So, Michelle Obama, I love me some Michelle. I'm a Michelle.
Yes.
And, she's had a lot of conversations about her and Barack and things that they've done for their wellness. And I think that has just been amazing, because we've seen an uptick in couples, coming in, especially Black couples. And as you know, there's a breakdown a lot of times in the Black community in terms of us not staying married and remaining married and figuring it out. So it's been beautiful to see these young Black couples coming in like, look, we got a little something going on. I want to talk about it. I want to process it. Give me some tools, give me some tips, some tricks, whatever it is. And we weren't seeing that before.
Oh, wow. That is encouraging. I saw a post of yours, I think it was last week, and it was around the topic of couples that have been married 20 years, 25 years, coming in, not necessarily because so much there's something wrong, just how do they rekindle that fire, that love. And I read that and was like, listen, come on, 2023, like, we are taking bigger steps and not just waiting for the volcano or the tragedy to happen before we say, you know what, some positive therapy is okay. It doesn't have to be we're at the point of destruction before we decide to come running to your office and falling out all over your couch. Like, we can come beforehand.
Yes. And so we call that preventative mental health care, right? So a lot of times, mental health, we've always taught to be reactive, right?
Yes.
Wait until, like you said, the wheels are falling off. And so now people are proactively coming in. We like to say everybody deserves a little couch time. My very favorite thing, Miara, and I mean this, is when somebody calls and says, I ain't got nothing going on, but I just want to do a check-in.
Okay.
And literally, we will sit and talk about work. We'll talk about their physical health, their mental health, their relationship. We'll just kind of touch on all of these aspects of their life.
Right.
We'll close by looking at what they keep, what they can tweak a little bit. And then we'll say, hey, I'm going to see you back in 6 months. Just when you go get that little dental checkup in 6 months.
Right.
Put me down and come in. And so that way, as a therapist, we're not trying to like take everything and just like that's on the bottom and, build it up. We're already starting to where you have a base already.
I really, really, really love that. You touched on BS earlier, Drop the BS, which is your podcast. I just love the name. I love all things sassy. All things sassy. Tell us a little bit about, and listen, those of you that are watching and listening, follow her podcast, because when I tell you, you can doggone near get a whole therapy session in an episode just by listening to the information she's sharing. And again, around the stigma of shame a little bit that's still associated with mental health or getting counseling. Honey, nobody has to know you listening to the podcast. Just take all of it in. Get all the help that you need, so that you're getting what you need. I think that's one of the biggest things. I've heard more women talking about seeing a therapist or a counselor or whatever it is, when pre-COVID, I never heard some of these women even talk about that. And I think it was just, the social media personas, like we're supposed to have it all together. Like I did my makeup, I put on lipstick today, put 2 curls in my hair. So why would I need a therapist, right? And I think the more that's a positive thing social media is used for, is people are sharing those stories. Are you seeing also more single people coming in? I know couples, that's increased a little bit, but what about single people? And not single people in the regard that they just had some tragic breakup and, now the whole world's crumbling and they're trying to pull themselves together. But this preventive care by those in the community that are single, are you seeing an uptick in that as well?
We are, because you know what, whether you're married, single, in a relationship, it's complicated, whatever you want to call it, we all need to up-level our mental health. And so I'm seeing single people come in just to kind of process maybe a career thing that's going on.
Okay.
To just process, why do I need a relationship? Maybe I don't want one. Maybe I don't have to be defined by that. And so just a variety of things that they're coming in for. Single people, I think, have always come in, but I like what you said in terms of like, we kind of think, oh, it's because they had a breakup or they don't want to find somebody. And you can come in just because. Yeah,
I love it. I want to touch on one of the things I know you specialize in and work with, and that's teenagers with, the suicide rates are flat out discouraging right now among young people. But touch a little bit on some of the help that you offer to teens directly and to parents of teens that might be struggling. My audience is definitely predominantly adult women, but if there's a woman watching or listening that's struggling with a child, or maybe it's a grandchild, right? What are some things they can do to not only get support for themselves, but also help guide the child into getting some help? Because obviously sometimes kids are resistant to that. They, just like adults, they don't want anything to do with therapy because they feel like they've done something really wrong or that they're broken in a sense, because they need to see a therapist.
Yes. So that's such a marvelous question. I think the first thing we have to look at is that, as a parent, and I'm a parent of 2 teenage girls, I'll say, so it is difficult, it is hard, and it's different. A lot of times, people from my generation, we want to say, well, I had all that going on. I had this, I had that, why these kids got so much, what's wrong with them? What's changed, right? And so things have changed. I think that social media, I think that them having access to so much information, so much ability to compare. Before, if you were at school and the boy broke up with you, just you and your friends knew. Now everybody know that your status has changed. And so you got people who are not even in your area asking you what happened. So our kids are really facing an enormous battle right now in terms of their mental health. COVID didn't make it any better. Right. And so I really want your listeners to hear me. A lot of times kids will come and they'll say, I don't feel good. Can I see a therapist? And I've had so many parents that say, girl, you better go sit down. You better therapy your books,
right.
or whatever. Listen to them. Okay. I'd rather you be on the preventative side where they go in, they don't need medication. They don't need anything. They talk to somebody for 45 minutes. It's not you. Yes, the therapist is probably going to say what you said, but it came out of her mouth and not your mouth.
It's heard differently.
Exactly. And so I think number one is let's hear our kids. Don't dismiss them. Understand that their struggles are different than our struggles, right? So from a parent standpoint, I think that's number one. Number two, I think from the kid standpoint, in terms of what you can do not get to the point that your kid comes home and there's a disconnect. They up in the room, they just come down to eat. You don't know what's going on. Pull them to the side. Even if you're getting on their last nerve, say, Give me your
and you will be getting on their nerves. That's part of our job.
Absolutely. Every single day, my kids know, give me your high, give me your high, and give me your low for the day. And part of the reason I position it like that is that if you ask them, how was your day? Oh, it was okay.
Yes.
I'm good. But if you ask them that question in a way that they have to name a high and they have to name a low, you start to gauge a little bit of how they're really doing. And I do that every single day. So check in with your kids. Don't compare them to yourself. And I think our kids are going to be a lot better.
I love that. That is solid, attainable advice. She's not asking you to rewrite the Pamper book. Just listen to your kids and encourage them to share that. Because I would imagine it becomes easier for them to start talking about these highs and lows once they know they're also going to say it and you're not going to judge them. Well, why in the heck did you do that? Well, that's silly. And all these things. That's one of those things with teenagers. You have to up your gift of listening. Just listening. Now, look, they be saying and doing, and we be like sitting on our hands rocking, like, oh God. Oh, yeah. But I think that keeps giving them the space to say, you can keep coming back. You can keep telling me more. This is a safe place to do that. I want us to get into what you call the dose. I love this. You shared this at my rest retreat at the end of last year. And I'm telling you, that has stayed on my mind to make sure that when I'm checking in with myself, what do I need? What do I need? And it just, there's simple approaches, which again, no one's asking you to rewrite the manual on these things. Just use what we have. So share with us what D.O.S.E is all about, and then we'll talk about some ways for our listeners to incorporate it into their life today.
Absolutely. So D.O.S E, right, stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. At the end of the day, these are our neurotransmitters. So to break that down, it's our happiness chemicals. We make chemicals. We're a ball of chemicals, just like we have our hormones and all those things like that. The reason you got up today and you look cute and you got your lipstick on, Myra, and everything is working is because you were producing some chemicals. Something gave you the energy to get up and say, I'm going to go do something. There are a lot of people who are not making or producing enough of these chemicals. They feel lethargic. They feel like foggy in the brain. They can't focus. All of these things are going on with them. And it can be directly traced back to the lack of D.O.S E in their system. Now, the cool part and why I love me some D.O.S E is that it is something that we produce naturally. You can produce these chemicals without having to take medication. Yes, it is, a slower uptick, but you can do it.
Okay.
So, you got something for me? You want me to keep?
Yes, I love that you said we produce these chemicals naturally without, we're not required to have medication to get them. Now, listen, anyone listening, if you need medication, that's what your doctor prescribed, do what your doctor says. But I love that you're letting listeners know that that is not required. This is a natural occurrence in our body. So I'm gonna let you continue on, but I love that. Because sometimes people feel like, no, Dr. Neely has something special. That's why she has D.O.S E. No. Yeah. We all have the ability to have D.O.S E, even at different levels and different ranges, but it's there.
Absolutely. And so once again, D.O.S E stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. So our D, let's start with our D, right? Our dopamine. How do you make dopamine? And you can hear people probably say sometimes, I need a little dopamine hit. Okay. So we make dopamine by completing a task, right? We do it by doing our self-care. So for instance, Myra, if you have a bunch of things to do and you make a little list and you say, I'm going to check off these things. And every time you do it, you check it off, right? You check it off. All of a sudden you start like, wow, I kind of feel better. Yeah. And you just think it's because you actually checked it off. What has happened is that you have begun to secrete dopamine in your system. Literally, your brain talks to your body and says, oh, she just checked something off. Give her a little reward there. And so you get this dopamine, you get that energy, you start feeling better. So once again, dopamine is our reward chemical. And we do that by completing a task, doing a self-care activity, eating some foods, even celebrating a small win. Okay. That's how we get our little D, okay? Now, moving on to the O. The O is oxytocin, and that is our love hormone. So that's when you cuddling with your boo and you're like, oh, I just love laying in his arms. Yes, you do. But once again,
yes, we do.
Yes, you do. But hopefully you do. But
yes.
If not, maybe we need to go back to the whole couples therapy thing, right?
Right.
But what's happening once again is that when you have physical touch with someone, and this could be with a human being, with an animal, anything like that, your pet, your brain sends a chemical message to your body and floods your body with oxytocin, the love hormone.
Okay. I like that.
On to our serotonin. And this is our big one. This is our mood stabilizer. If you are feeling like your mood is just all over the place, it's just like you hot, you cold, you up, you down, you need that mood stabilizer. And you get that through meditating, running, sun exposure, walking in nature, swimming. So get your butt outside, get some of that vitamin D, get some sun. It's not just because we just want to go out. You literally are helping your body to produce serotonin.
Okay.
All right.
And look, I always tell people that is for sure free. Put your sneakers on and go walk. That's it. Your tax dollars already paid for the streets and the parks.
Yes.
Just go use them. Just go use them.
And they do. And so our last one, wrapping it up, is our endorphins. And so your endorphin is your painkiller. And how do you get that? You get that laughter. Me and you laughing back and forth right now.
Right.
It's what just happened.
Yeah.
We just got flooded with a little bit of the endorphins, right? You get it from essential oils. You get it from watching a comedy show, dark chocolate, having some sex, all of those things like that.
Listen,
important.
All of the things.
Yeah. So the idea with D.O.S.E is that, look, you can't do all of these every day. But if you just think, let me at least get my D. If I can't get my D, let me get my O. If I can't get my O, let me get my S. If I can't get my S, let me get my E. So D.O.S.E. And Miara, I can provide a handout. I know I'm kind of going over all of this, but maybe you can have a link so people can physically kind of see it, and it makes a lot more sense when you can visualize it.
Yeah, we will put that link. Listen, listeners, Dr. Neely is going to share that with you so you can put your eyes on it. Another way to learn, to visually see it. We'll put that in the comment section so you can download that. Again, I don't know if you had this in your notes to share, but give us 3 ways that listeners can apply this dose to their life. The sunlight, I love. LaShanna, my health and wellness coach, I have been resistant for doggone a year about this walking thing. I finally got there because I didn't like walking. I've been doing it for like the last 2 months. And listen, I'm sold.
Yes.
I am truly sold. And I definitely try to do it, when the sun is out, just so I can get all my part of the dose that I need. And I find when I go do that and come back, I'm re-energized to go ahead and finish out my day in a really productive way.
100%, because you just got that hit of serotonin, right?
Yes.
That's exactly what happened when you went outside. And so as I think about, how do you make this practical? I think the first thing is, and kind of going back to what we talked about, number one is that you have to be intentional about your mental health. Before any of this can happen, you got to make up your mind that I matter, that what happens to me matter, that my mental health drives how I love, how I think, how I work. And if I ain't taking care of that, then everything else is going to fall apart. So I ask, just be intentional. Wake up in the morning and say, what am I going to give myself today? Am I going to do a D? Am I going to do an O? Am I going to do an S? Or I'm going to do an E? So that's the second step. After you're intentional, I need you to say, I'm all O today. I'm me and the pet. We're going for a walk, and I'm going to hug on the little dog, or whatever it is, right? So that's number 2. And then number 3, and I think overall today in this conversation, it is okay to go get help. I don't care about all the stigma. Just know that when you walk into an office with a professional, that number one, it's confidential. It is against the law for that person to ever share anything. Literally, I would go to jail. And I always tell people, I just wouldn't do good there. I just wouldn't.
Right. You said that's not my space. This is just not my space.
So you create that space. If you find that, doing these little touch-ups aren't enough, go see somebody. Go sit down. If you can't go, fire up the computer and do that. So to kind of recap, Miara, number one, your mental health matters. So be intentional about that. Every day, Give me a D, give me an O, give me an S, give me an E.
Right.
Exactly, right. And then kind of bringing it all in. If all those things didn't get the job done, then it is okay to not be okay. And it's okay to go and talk to someone. Preventative, not reactive.
I listen. I love all of that. I'm frequently saying to folks that I work with, be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Recently, I had an opportunity to work with some young ladies, high school young ladies, and I just kept telling them, be gentle with yourself. They were so worried about, most of them were juniors in high school. What if I pick the wrong college? And what if I pick the wrong career choice? And what if I don't get into the college that I applied to? I was like, sis, it's all going to be okay. Yeah. Because I assure you, most of the decisions you're making right now, you're going to completely change them, tweak them, throw them out the window. Yes. Be flexible on the journey. And that stress of, I have to know it all, and I have to know it right now. Even adults, right? We have to be careful that we are not putting all of this unnecessary pressure on ourselves to try to figure everything out, because, I talk about balance, rhythm. I use the word rhythm because life is in motion. You are therefore also in motion. And so if it's one of those things that you struggle with, that's a good place to say, you know what, let me get with a therapist to help me learn a new way to process just my daily living, how I'm thinking about things and approaching things. So listen, life is really short. We say that as a cliche, but life is short. And I want you to have as much joy as you can. Now, Dr. Neely, I did not tell you that I was going to give you these rapid fire questions at the end, but I am.
What?
And all I need is a nice, quick answer from you. I always love my guest reaction when they're like, oh, what is Myra getting ready to ask me? So I'm going to give you, most of these are two options. You just tell me the one that fits for you. So if you had the option between meat, seafood, and veggies.
Seafood.
Seafood. Peanut butter and jelly or grilled cheese?
Ooh, peanut butter and jelly.
Excellent. Zip lines or pool lounging?
Ooh, easy. Pool, baby. Give me the pool and give me the lounge.
Exactly. Reading a book or an audiobook?
Say that one more time for me, Myra.
Reading a book or having the audiobook?
This is hard. Probably because I'm busy, the audio. Although I want the hard copy, but let's be for real.
Listen,
the audio is easy.
It's a struggle. Like the book club, I buy the book, I get the audio version, and I listen to the audio because I'm like, I'm not going to have time to read the whole book. Listen, these are the struggles that we deal with. A nap or no nap?
Oh, a nap. Yes.
Yes. Digital planner or a paper planner?
Paper planner.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
Okay. I definitely would have thought you would have been digital. Biggie or Tupac?
Oh, come on now. You know, Pac.
I'm getting some tight ones. Which one did you say? Biggie or Tupac?
Oh, Tupac.
Okay, got it. Heels or flats?
Well, things have changed in my life. And so it is going to be flats.
Yes. Listen, post-COVID, I think has changed most of the women's lives on these heels and these flats. I got a whole collection of cute flats at this point that I honestly did not have before quarantine. Like something happened. Yes. Ice cream or cookies?
The truth is both, but for the sake of this, I will say ice cream.
Okay, very good. Listen, that is it. I love getting the reaction on those because I know people are like, oh, like Biggie and Tupac or peanut butter jelly and grilled cheese. Like, man, Myra, you like I pick tight ones on purpose. So you have to decide. You have to make a decision on it.
Look, as you were doing that, I'm thinking, I want all of this at once. I want to listen to some Tupac, have some ice cream. Can I just do it all and lounge at the pool?
Look, that would be the ultimate dose, right? The ultimate dose.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it. Listen, I am absolutely honored that you shared this information with us. And listen, we're going to drop the content that you want to share with our audience about the dose. And listen, you guys that are watching and listening, apply this dose to your life. When you feel yourself getting anxious or overwhelmed, or you're exhausted, feeling exhausted, just think about, okay, what of this dose do I need to keep myself moving forward on the right path? So thank you so much. As always, like I said at the very beginning, having conversations with you about these real life issues, it just seems as if we're just talking as girlfriends and solving the problems that we need to solve in our lives, which makes, to me, therapy a lot more approachable for a lot of people, because you make it attainable. You like, we can apply this in your life every day and you can get better.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure, and I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Excellent. Well, Maven Nation, that was another amazing episode that I brought to you for you to have your daily inspiration. Keep watching these videos and checking them out. So until next time, keep doing your BAM thing. Talk with you soon.